Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show.
I have a guest that I have known for the last 8 years, and we have not been in touch since then. And it's wonderful because I was so surprised to see him get booked on my show. It was a surprise. I said, is this the guy I know? Yes, it is. So we're going to talk about his life in the last 8 years. It's going to be interesting. And he's an entrepreneur, humanitarian, filmmaker, producer. He's been so many things, and we're going to discuss all that because he's living his dream. He's done his dream. He is going to give us great advice. And you know where you are right now? You are on the Nadia Sahari Show.
Are you ready to live your dream? Motivation, inspiration, and passion. That's what it takes to make dreams come true. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. Our guests will share important tips, insights, and knowledge to help you fulfill your dreams of success. Here's your host, actress, author, entrepreneur, Nadia Sahari.
Okay, I have an old friend here with me today. I haven't talked to him or seen him in 8 years. We just figured all that out. And he is now an entrepreneur and humanitarian. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about his filmmaking and directing days. So I would like to introduce you and help me to welcome Sir Michael Walters. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show.
Thank you for having me on the show, Nadia.
Oh, you're welcome. What a
pleasure
surprise.
to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, after 8 years, that's amazing how quick time has flown. Wow.
I know.
You were making your way out to Los Angeles the last time I think we spoke, or just had settled in there. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm working on a couple of projects. So, yeah, that's kind of where things took different directions for our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure did, didn't it? Well,
right.
I'm back on track. I got distracted a little bit, but I'm back on track. And so let's talk about, I saw Sir Michael Walters. And where did the Sir come from?
Well, that's one of those transitions that happened, that was 7 years ago, actually. I had a friend of mine that was, what they call a lady knight. She, is a lady, Melanie is her first name. And she said, you would be perfect. And this Knight's Order is looking for people in Texas. And I think you'd just be perfect for it. And I said, well, why not? Let's just see what that's all about. We'll try anything once, right?
Yes.
So, I had, I think everything, I have to believe that our steps are ordered. Okay.
Yes.
We may not know what's going to happen tomorrow, but they're ordered. Otherwise, it would be a complete life of chaos. So I went through that and sort of kind of interviewed and found out about it. And this was the oldest Knight's Order on the planet since 1066 AD. And they had continued to, I love history, and I think any real filmmaker worth their salt has got to love history and do their research on why we're here and what we're doing and where the world is going.
Yes.
So I, went through there. They said, well, do you happen to have your genealogy? And I was like, another ordered step. That's something I worked on, took time off for like a year and a half and worked with my brother on. And I said, yes, I do. And they said, well, let's look at it. And you have I think you have hunches. I'm an intuitive, an empath.
Yes.
And those are one of those things you also sort of begin to discover along the words. Oh, there's a name for that. So I'm not just crazy. So anyway, I had gone through there and they came back. They said, we have to reinstate you as a knight. And I said, what are you talking about? They said, we went through your genealogy. We went through all our old archives and your family had a treaty with King Louis of France.
Wow.
And he said, and that's a perpetual treaty. So you are now. And so I went through the knighting ceremony and stuff. And, here I am. And, that doesn't even give me a discount on coffee. Although they say if I'll change my passport, I would get booked to business class for free. Who's flying on airlines these days, right?
You might want to go to the castle in London and see if Queen Elizabeth will let you in and you can meet her.
Well,
Introduce yourself as Sir Michael Walters. She might just make you this big dinner and dance, and who knows?
Maybe. I think it's. I've heard Buckingham Palace is boarded up. So.
Oh, it is. Oh.
And she's in quarantine. So. Oh well.
Oh
Anyway.
well. Things can change, as we know.
Yeah, exactly. Things always change. You never know where you're going to go sometimes from day to day. So.
That is true, and you don't. You can make plans, but it doesn't mean they're going to be implemented when you think they're going to be. You just have to make plans and just move on with your life and be happy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I've always loved the surprises in life pretty much. I mean, not that
Yes.
everybody has great surprises, but it always works out for good.
That is great. Wow, I saw something. In 1986, you were invited to a film documentary of a medical mission in Bolivia.
Right. That was only just a few years after I began working in television, and I guess you could say film. It was primarily television then, and my career was really skyrocketing. At the onset, very quick. Of course, there's not that many people back in early '80s actually in this business. Not like it is today, where there's millions. Everybody with a camera, even a cell phone camera, it can be a filmmaker. Which is great for some people, and for others trying to struggle to make their way, not so great. It's a lot more competition.
Right.
But anyway, I had this invite. I had just sort of been, discovered by an elderly gentleman that had been part of the golden era of Hollywood. So that was sort of neat.
Wow.
He'd worked with the Ronald Reagan and dated Jane Mansfield, and just in that golden era. And so this guy was a wealth of information and just a real gentleman and loving man. Bill was, and he says, "I have this opportunity for you. Would you like to go to Bolivia?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And honestly, things were not going well in my personal life at that time. So I was looking for that sort of escape as well.
Right.
But hey, a chance to travel. Yeah. I went
not?
through working in La Paz, Bolivia at 14,000 foot altitude is not easy. And so I worked out, trained for it. Because back then you're lugging about 100 and something pounds of camera equipment on your back.
Wow.
During that time, cameras were not light like they are, today, and recorders were like, having a suitcase,
Right.
Under the. So yeah, very, very, very different days technically, but I loved what we did, and the medical team, we actually had to go through and train in surgical protocols and hygiene and things like that with the team. Prior to it, we were sponsored by American Hospital Corporation, and we got to work on 12 burned children and teenagers during that time. And this was horror, third degree. I would almost call them fourth degree burns. And a lot of what they did was just cut in La Paz, Bolivia, just to give you a little overview, they cook with kerosene, and at 14,000 foot altitude, you get these oxygen bursts, and it blows the kerosene all over, and the next thing you know, actually, literally bones are melted together. So these children needed to be freed up where they could hold a fork and feed themselves, or a spoon.
Oh, dear Jesus.
And so that really touched my heart, but even beyond this, here you're on this nice medical trip, and it's nicely funded and all that. You sort of escape, and at the evening, at the end of the day, you have a nice lunch or dinner in the Sheraton. Nice $300-400 lunch. And when you're coming out of a struggling career where you're not making much, you're still paying very much your dues, and things are not really well in your personal life. This sort of escape. But I looked out the window, big plate glass window, sitting across from the still photographer for the project, and noticed this little round Bolivian woman, and they wear those cute little bowler hats, and she's picking grass from a little area across the street, probably not much bigger than 10 foot by 10 foot. I would say maybe that's just a little bit of park green space that this urban area has. And I asked the still photographer, who just seemed to know everything, I said, well, what is this woman doing? Is this her job with the city to pick some grass by hand? You know, they don't even have the tools to mow it or little hand clippers. She says, no, she's feeding her rabbit. The only meat that her family will have for the month. And I was like, you studied this? He said, yes.
Oh, wow.
And I looked down, and here I have Cherries Jubilee and trout and all this other nice wine. And I was like, something is wrong here.
Yes, that's horrible. Horrible.
And I never let that experience go away.
No, you can't. Oh, how could you? Oh, how sad.
So you return home, you make a few hundred commercials and live television shows, and years go on, and you start writing scripts and films and a whole host of work. I think I pretty much have done every job that there is in television, pretty much film. But, things go on, and you're like, Wow. So, and this image just, you never forget. And I've done a couple other little mission trips and things like that since then, but nothing, again, what you see through the lens, I don't think other people can see unless you have that experience looking through the viewfinder.
It's wonderful. You know, I have to tell you, a friend of mine has a website. It's called LifeWords, the number 4, all, ALL.com, lifewordsforall.com. And he took a lot of video of nature and different things and collected verses that apply to that video, and then did research on music and put music that goes with that verse and that video scene. And it really is beautiful. When you get a chance, go on there. But I wrote a quote in there for him, and I created this quote, and here's what I said: through the eye of the lens, we can see and hear the beauty that God created.
That's profound.
Yes, and God gave me that, and it's, I think, beautiful, and it just pretty much summarizes all 52 videos. Yeah, you'll have to look at it.
I will definitely look at that.
Yeah. And so anyway, other than that, it's funny then I've never seen the words through the lens since I created that 2 years ago. and it's weird, but here you are, you're saying this very same thing. So, wow, that is amazing. I could not, now you've got me, I've got this picture in my mind about this poor woman picking grass. Like, oh, I can't get it out of my head now. So, because I am an empath and I'm very altruistic, and I get affected by things like this.
Absolutely. And I had, I took the journey into film. Person like began to show me film back in the 2000s. Yeah, he says, get into film and such. And I was like, yeah, this is different than, of course, making commercial or live content, which I was used to in television. And my heart was really to do what I would call redemptive work.
Yes.
I always love a story. It didn't have to be spiritual,
right,
but a story where a person is, comes through a conflict and is redeemed.
Yes.
And so I began writing some scripts, as you well know, and I won't give the name of that because it began into a legal issue, but it was an allegory of my own life story. Told in the form of the prodigal story, and loved it, was ready to go with it, and the struggle of trying to put together, funding and such, and I was like, okay, no more partnering with anybody on any stories. I'm going to write my own stuff, and I'm going to own it outright, and I began writing about a story about a young woman. The series is called My Heart Dies With You. I wish I could get it converted into a book first, but I found it kind of difficult to do that or after you've written the script to start, converting the book.
Sure.
And said, okay, well, that's not the door open for me right now. But I love the story because it's about a woman's journey through grief and how she has to come to grips with being prepared to meet life's challenges, and God is ready to accelerate her through all her pain and suffering to make her blossom as who she was meant to be, and then receive all of those gifts and blessings that she had always hoped for. Through new relationships and things, and so it's a 9-month accelerated story, and I've got it written in 4 parts, so I could convert it to TV series or four independent movies. But I left that, but this whole redemptive thing, started grabbing me, and then I still thought about this project, and going back in the early 2000s, I had this project idea, which I've called Wings CRS, or Wings Catastrophe Response Service, because I looked at how bad catastrophes are not mitigated very, very well.
Yes.
Oftentimes, sadly, and they'll tell you, you need to have enough supplies on hand if you have a natural disaster to last 72 hours till help arrives. And that 72 hours is a golden time, but how many lives are lost in those 72 hours?
Yes.
And no one seems to be wanting to pay the price. And people would tell me, this idea you have of a rapid response that responds just within minutes and hours around the world, that no one can afford to do that. But I met some people that said it can be done, and we'll support you with that. But you're going to have to, go down a long journey, and you're going to have patience, and you're definitely going to have perseverance. And I learned the word perseverance through the process.
Wow.
So 4 or 5 years later, I put filmmaking behind, other than the quick little videos I make to promote the work. And here we are today. We're ready to launch as soon as this. We were really ready for the pandemic, and in fact, I was to go get funding for the project, and on my way to cross the ocean to get funding, wow. I was told to turn back around. The doors are going to close in Asia. So I was like, okay, it's time to pivot. That's another word you learn through life.
Michael?
And we began.
Michael?
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
You got it.
And we're back with Sir Michael Walters. And, you brought up the mitigation, and it's kind of like, look at what's going on in our world today. So we get mixed messages.
Yes.
Things get mitigated, and then we're getting different kinds of news. And then, I don't know, we just don't know what to think anymore. And it's just so confusing. But that's something we really have no control over.
No, but what we do have control over is how we as a person, as a community, as families respond.
Yes.
Because this is not about us. You hear the thing about mask wearing. It's not for you, it's for others. And I believe in our world, and if anything my life is culminating towards, it's about living a life for others. And we can say we're together, hashtag together, alone
yes.
together, whatever those new buzz tags are right now.
Yes.
It is about each other. It's about supporting each other. Just even you reaching out to me right now is a time. It's about coming together. It's not the fact that we haven't talked in 8 years.
Right.
But it's about what are we doing to help neighbors. And this is where we begin to pivot. Say, okay, well, we can't do this beautiful framework plan now. That's for the future. But what we can do is begin feeding. And so I actually had just brought on a project manager in the Philippines, and he called me one day and he said, hey, and we're all volunteers, by the way. So he says, hey, I've got to go feed a few people. I heard a few people in the street behind me haven't fed. And when we say Philippines, what you're having there in LA as far as lockdown is nothing compared to the lockdown they have there.
Yes.
It is strict stay at home. One person gets a pass to go out a few hours a day to either the bank or to the pharmacy or to the store, and only 2 days a week. That was their 2-month lockdown.
Wow.
And he said, hey, we got a few families here that are literally starving.
Wow.
Hey, I can go share a meal right now. Okay. I don't really have an income. I said, but I can go share a meal. And so I said, let me send you something. So I did, and we began feeding a few dozen families. Then the next thing it grew. And within a month, we're feeding 2,000 hungry, poor people who were only day laborers who, on a good day prior to the pandemic,
Yes.
were earning about $8 a day, or about 25 to 30% of what it costs to live. In other words, they were only feeding their family one meal a day.
I know. It's horrible. It's horrible. I hate
And this
to
is
hear
all
that.
over the world.
Yeah.
The UN now just came out this week and said 250 million people are expected to die over the next few years due to starvation because of this pandemic. That's the real killer. And if we don't come together as people and help one another,
Right.
but if you'll turn your mind to go help someone, believe me, you'll get more restoration for your body by helping someone
Yes.
than you will sitting on that lounge chair out by the pool somewhere.
That's right.
I hate to say that. Right now, it's a call to all hands on deck. Help everybody you can, because
right.
especially in America, we're doing quite well really here. There's a few cases here and there of hunger, and there's a few cases because of mental illness. People won't go and get the aid that they need, but in all these other countries, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Let me ask you something. This is confusing to me, so maybe you can tell me.
Sure.
I'm looking at this COVID 2019 live. It changes as things happen, as the whole world has all these COVID cases. But then I'm looking at Vietnam, for example. And we know the population of Vietnam is tremendous. But they only have 369 cases. Okay, so tell me what they're doing that we're not doing, and then listen to this. I mean, that's Vietnam, and then I'm giving you, these are the statistics right now, right this second, and then you have Liberia has 987, 42 dead. And I'm gonna go to where people can identify some of these countries. Rwanda, 1,210 cases, only 3 died. Jordan, 1,169 cases, 10 died. Let's see, Hong Kong, 1,356 cases, 7 died.
Yep.
So I don't understand. They have. Like, people are living on top of each other, but yet they don't have the cases that they say we have. Lebanon, where I was born, only has 2,011 cases, and 36 people died. But then you have Cuba, communist country, 2,400 cases, and only 86 people died. I say only. That's a shame. It shouldn't even be one. And and how come their cases are so few? But then they tell us we've got how many? Well, let's see. Today we have so far 3,218,841 cases, and 135,720 died. Now, what this really baffles me. I'm so confused, because where there is a high population of people that really cannot do the distancing are only having 1,000 or less cases and a handful of people that died. But here we are, where we do have distancing and we have modern technology, we have everything, but then again, we have 135,000 cases. Come on. Something's fishy, I think. There
is definitely a lot fishy there, and some of that I could go into, but I'm not allowed to speak on certain things that we get in security briefings. But I can share something. I can't really speak so much for Africa, but I can speak for Asia. In that area, people there, again, going back to what I said about being there together. Hong Kong, for instance, and actually it was really our officials who looked at Hong Kong and said, wait a minute, everybody wears masks there and has been wearing masks there. This must be what we need to do to curb the pandemic. And what was said a few days ago by, I don't know if it's CDC or National Institute of Health, who it was, but they said, hey, we could probably mitigate this in the 6 to 8 weeks if everybody wore a mask. We could get control of this. But, I think the difference in Asia, people are there for each other.
Yes.
They are community minded. Here in the States, I would say the bigger part of the problem is our fight for personal rights.
Yes.
You can't tell me what to do. I'm a free person. I have free rights. I will do what I want to do. And I think this is the biggest part of the problem, where in Asia, they're all about looking out after each other. They were talking about in Japan, for instance, people there, if you have a cold, they know to stay home from work. Yeah. I have family members that work in daycare here, and everything be damned if a mother can't show up to work because the kids are sick and got green, snotty, runny noses, and they're going to take their kids to work because I don't want anything to do with the kids.
Right.
I got to go to work.
Right.
And so it's a different. I think this has a lot. I wouldn't say it has everything to do with it. My chief medical officer, a very esteemed but very quiet physician, Harvard grad, he's having to deal with, in this small rural area I live here in Texas right now, he's seeing 22 cases a day. Now, yes, we can look at that we're doing a lot of testing, and certainly testing is going to find more cases. Sure. So looking at the testing side, I don't so much look at testing as I look at hospitalizations and certainly look at deaths. And there's the whole quandary about, well, somebody died of COVID, but and I don't want to go into that's another 15-minute explanation of how death certificates are actually written out during crisis or declared emergencies. It's a different situation. And you can't seem to make anybody believe it, so we won't go there. But looking out for each other is the most important thing.
Yes.
We can all have enough self-discipline and love and respect for one another to stay away. Now, my doctor was saying the problem was at Memorial Day when we were just getting past the first wave. Here in Texas, we had beautiful numbers. And they just opened it up, and the kids all went to the bars. And I have read report after report, testimony after testimony. 10, 18 of us, we just couldn't stand being locked up another day, so we all got together. Or we believed this was a hoax, so we had a COVID party, and then these young people, teenagers, are starting to die off. We're seeing a lot of teenagers and 20-year-olds here in Texas that are dying of this. Here we are.
Yes. Yes.
And if we're going to curb this, it's going to have to be together.
Yes, we have to.
And get some real money infused in the economy, get the politics out of the way. In fact, I wish they'd make a law that politics cannot have anything to do with, with these type of medical emergencies.
And we need to help. The government needs to help the businesses, the small businesses, the small business owner. I'm not talking about the corporations. They have plenty of money. They're on the stock market. I'm talking about the mom and pop restaurants and stores. And
absolutely.
They need help to stay open. Just like now they closed up everybody in California. That didn't have to happen. And it's not all of California that has this virus. It's concentrated mostly in Los Angeles. So shut down Los Angeles, leave everybody else alone.
Mm. Yep. And you would think you'd be safe with this virus on the beach. But and I personally believe you are. It may be what happens after you leave the beach, going to a bar or to a convenience store and those kind of things.
Yes.
And I think that's where the danger is.
Yes, or before you went to the beach.
Or before you went to the beach, correct.
Exactly.
I mean, if anything, the beach ought to be a great healing place for people. But again, they could have distanced even people on the beach.
Yes.
families of 2, 4, whatever, and said, okay, we're going to mark off little areas, and this is where you set yourself up on the beach and stuff. Hawaii, unfortunately, and because Hawaii does not have the medical facilities, so for their first wave, you could go to the beach, but you couldn't stand on the beach. You could either go in the water or out of the water, but you did not pause on the beach.
Yeah, I can't believe that that people got it from the beach. I doubt it very much. There's a breeze. There's the ocean is salt water. There's its beauty, its nature. There's no way. And even if and they did have circles 6 feet apart in California for the beaches. They put everyone 6 feet apart. And I don't believe the beach it was before the beach or after the beach.
After the beach, correct.
That's right. And again, it's like a blanket, shelter down, hunker in, turn off your business, shut down your business. That's not right. It has to be more specific instead of making everybody suffer.
Correct. And I live in the San Antonio area now, and I think the government there is doing a wonderful job, and they've incorporated masks, and yes, they had to push the governor to allow them to push masks and stuff, because the governor has been, I wouldn't say he's been hands off, but he's been very much about promoting personal rights and things, and I think he did a good job at first, and just unfortunately,
I think he's great.
Yeah.
I love
unfortunately,
him.
A lot of our leaders, I think, have some bad advisors.
Yes. What are they doing differently? Why doesn't somebody investigate that? What is it? How about Michigan that was just like Florida, and now they're like at 75,000. So what are they doing that's different that is keeping them from escalating in the coronavirus numbers, but yet everybody else is increasing? So why doesn't somebody find out what are the other states doing that are keeping their numbers down, but yet everybody, even Nevada, has 24,000 cases. So how come they're so low? And
they had a very strict lockdown in Nevada.
Yeah.
They closed all the hotels and casinos, so that closed everybody down. Nobody went to work.
But not now. But their numbers are still down.
Still down, yeah.
Yeah, so what's going on here?
Michigan had a very strict lockdown, and they're still keeping very small groups of 10.
We should look at the states that have the lower numbers and use them as models in the bigger states that have bigger numbers and see if we can replicate everything and decrease our numbers. But nobody's doing that.
It doesn't seem that way. That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
We're in a bad place at a bad time.
Yes. Well, we just got to keep praying and just pray that everything changes to the better. And I have a feeling after the election, things are going to change.
One would hope.
Yeah.
One would hope.
Because this is all about the election. I really believe that.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people won't agree, but that's how I feel. That's my opinion. We all have an opinion. That's mine.
Everything's about money.
Everything's about money and power.
Money and power, so it involves politics. Yeah,
that's right.
From the drugs that are being made, the vaccines, how they're going to be administered, politics is and government is all in it. And I wish they'd make a law that when it's something of this type of public emergency, politics and government really can't weigh in.
That's right. I agree. I totally agree. So anyway, well, it's been wonderful. Well, we talked about the movie industry and Bolivia and now the COVID, which is good because people need to hear the truth because there's a lot of negativity and a lot of fake news and a lot of unrealistic news. And we're just really not getting the truth about anything.
The truth is help one another.
That is the truth.
Live for one another. We will get through this if we help one another.
And that's right. And unfortunately, a lot of people today are not loving one another. The world was, especially America, was like too much hate. There was so much hate. And they need to replace that hate with love and start helping each other. And I think we can conquer this. And we can help each other, like you said, love each other, help each other, I think we can wipe this whole thing out before the end of the year if we do that.
Exactly. Love is going to change everything, and that's my central theme in life going forward. The Knights themselves have a bad history of brutal slaughter and things like that, but I changed my direction, and I made my own stand, and I said, I'm going to be known as the Knight of Love. And I just say tongue-in-cheek because everybody wants at least one night of love, right? So
that is cool.
But I said, well, Knights are on a crusade, so my tagline is, I'm on a crusade to bring love, for all, and we have to help one another. We have only one chance to live going forward, and no matter what your dream is, your dream has to incorporate others. It can't be about ourselves. If we're really going to blossom and become everything we were purposed and destined to be, it has to include others.
Yes. Amen. Well, let's tell people how they can reach you, contact you, see what you're all about, what you're doing, and everything. What is your social media?
Certainly. I'm on Facebook and on LinkedIn personally, and as well as my organization, which is Wings or the minus sign, the letters CRS.org. And like I said, you'll find us on Facebook or LinkedIn, and there should also be links on Twitter as well. You can find us there. And, of course, we also have the website, as I gave, wings-crs.org. So you can find out about us there. If you can, we would love people to help support us in the emergency feeding mission. We have many other places that we would have asked us to come help. And we do it for free. I don't know how we do it, but we do it. Whatever someone gives, 100% of that, we buy food. It doesn't go in anybody's pockets.
That's great.
We buy food, so we're doing that different.
That's great.
None of us in this team are rich, but we've been able to do it. We've covered the transportation costs for the shipping of the food or things like that, and we have a great team of volunteers in getting food out. We had 160, close to 200 families that just showed up at our door the other day and said, we need rice. The city was providing rice before as a partner. We'd asked them to, but they're broke now. They're bankrupt. And so we're like, a small organization. And so we've got to do both. And we just don't say no. We do everything we can. Occasionally we do have to say no to someone, say, sorry, we don't have, So
why don't you put this on GoFundMe and the other?
We are on GoFundMe, and thank you for saying that. The GoFundMe is the Mabalakat, MABALACAT, Mabalakat Emergency Feeding Mission, or Mabalakat Philippines Emergency Feeding Mission. And we do have a GoFundMe page there because we are about to close on leasing a farm that's available there so that we can invite these families to come in, and we will buy them chickens and milk goats and everything. They take care of it. They bring the milk and the eggs home, and we start building a sustainable food supply so that we're not spending $1 on milk that's drank up in one day. We have a continuing supply of milk or our food. So this will reduce the cost, and I'm hoping by Monday at the latest we have closed on that. But please give to our GoFundMe page if you would. You can also go to wingscrs.org/missions. Read about our feeding mission, and there's also links there on PayPal and card, and the GoFundMe link is also there. So
wonderful! Oh wow, That is super! I'm so glad that you are on this show and that you've done what you are doing, and so excited about what's going on in your life. And you just keep going. You keep doing what you're doing. You're living your dream. You're doing what God has put in your heart. And what else is best? That is the best. And
absolutely,
that is the best, because your heart is where it should be. And God bless you. God bless you, Michael.
And one day we'll make a film about all this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. God bless you. And you just keep on going. And thank you so much. And we'll have you back on again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to reconnect with you. So let's not let another 8 years separate us again, okay?
No, never. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir Michael Walters, thank you so much for being on my show. What a great man and great heart. So go to GoFundMe and look up his fundraiser and help them out. And I think it's wonderful, and I pray that all of you are okay and that you'll be safe and you'll do what's best for yourself, but help your neighbor, love each other, and pray together. God bless you all. Thank you for listening, and be sure to check on my social media. I'm on Spotify, YouTube channel. Please go to my YouTube channel, Nadia Sahari, and subscribe. And on Amazon.com, you'll find my book, Breakaway, The Road to Freedom. It is about me, and if you look that up on Amazon, you'll see what it's all about. It's a memoir, and it's a true story. And The Bully Cat, which is for children who are getting bullied, and it's a great book to help children to speak up. So thank you so much for listening. God bless you all. And please be safe.
Thanks for tuning in with Nadia and her guests. For more info, episodes, and connection, please visit our website, thenadiasaharishow.com. Share episodes with your friends. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Instagram, and most importantly, never give up. Live your dream.